Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of B-Flicks. I'm Gavin and with me as always is my buddy, Neville. So Neville, why don't you describe the film we're talking about today?
Sure. Today we're discussing Basket Case, a 1982 film about a guy and his deformed conjoined twin brother. They were separated against their wishes, and now they're out to find and kill the doctors who performed the procedure.
Now, I know what you're thinking. It sounds like it could be horrible or great.
And you would be right. It's horribly great.
This movie is filled with hilarious kill scenes, bad special effects, pointless and stupid dialogue,
and absolutely horrible ADR.
the cornerstone of any good bad movie. So, the movie starts with a guy leaving his house at night and he hears something in the bushes.
Yeah, when you go to someone's house to kill them, the first thing you should do is take a little time to goof off in their bushes.
That sounds like a horrible euphemism.
What?
Goofing off in their bushes?
Come on, Gavin. We need to keep this somewhat family-friendly.
Moving right along, the scene goes on way too long and the acting is hilarious.
But eventually the guy meets a bloody end by a creepy deformed hand.
We then cut to New York City in the 80s. Our main character, Dwayne, is walking down the street with a wicker basket, and he's approached by the most ambitious drug dealer ever.
Smoke, I got joints and bags, nickels and dime bags, gold Columbia smoke. I've got some good cocaine. I got acid blotters, rainbows, window pane, speed downs, second off, volume, mescaline, THC.
This guy's like a one-man walking pharmaceutical company.
He goes to a hotel full of wacky characters. While paying for the room, he pulls out a wad of cash, and one of the guys in the lobby notices.
Then this one lady tells him this weird story about the lady that was in his room before him. And at the end, she just abruptly turns around and walks away.
Then one day, she appeared in the lobby dressed in furs and jewels, said she was leaving to tour the world. She paid her bill and left. No one's heard from her since.
This happens several times throughout the movie. People deliver their lines, and then they're just like, oh well, my line's done.
Dwayne goes into his room and pulls out a bloody file folder. Couldn't he trash the folder and keep the files? He's literally walking around with evidence of a murder.
So Dwayne tries to go to sleep, but keeps yelling at his brother, who he keeps in the basket.
Look, I'm not going to stay up half the night talking. It's 3:30 in the morning. Go back to sleep. For Christ's sake, shut up and let me get some sleep!
We don't hear the brother. Later in the movie, it's revealed that they can communicate telepathically.
Then we see the guy from the lobby looking through the peephole. He gets caught by the hooker that stays a few doors down. The hooker warns Dwayne and then steps in to scope out the place. And then, just like the lady earlier, she abruptly leaves. These people are weird.
It was New York in the 80s, man. So, Dwayne goes to find the next doctor on his list, and when he walks in, the receptionist, Sharon, thinks he's there to fix the typewriter.
Hear that? Sounds like something grinding inside.
I'm confused. Did repairmen carry around their tools in wicker baskets in the 80s?
I think maybe like most people in this movie, she was just high.
That would explain your description of the problem with the typewriter, too.
Yesterday it was squeaking, like if a mouse was caught inside. Real high-pitched, like...
Yeah, she was definitely tweaking.
After her incredible mouse impression, Dwayne asks if he can see the doctor. She tells him that the doctor would say no since he didn't have an appointment, but she'll bend the rules for him. She asks him his name, and he tells her, but he asks her not to write it down.
Thanks.
What's your name?
Dwayne Bradley. Oh, but don't write that.
Seriously? This guy is here to kill someone and he just blurts out his real name?
Maybe he was just nervous. You know how you get sometimes when you're trying to talk to a cute girl you like?
Wow, Neville, are you talking about anybody in particular?
Well, well, sorta. I was thinking about asking out Amy in concessions.
Oh, really? That's awesome, buddy.
But every time I try to talk to her, I get flustered. I'm afraid I'm going to say something stupid.
Well, after the show, maybe I can help you figure out what to say and help you get the courage to talk to her.
Really? That would be great.
Well, but for now, let's just get back to the review.
Okay, so Sharon asks if Dwayne is from the city, and he says he's not. She asks if he's seen any local tourist attractions, and when he says he hasn't, she acts like she's offended.
Haven't had the time. Well, what about Radio City Music Hall? Or the UN? Had time for them?
Yeah, the lady seems to be upset that he hasn't gone to see the Statue of Liberty or any of the other tourist traps. It seems like all the characters in this movie are basket cases.
But it was just a ploy to get him to go out with her.
It's just that I don't know where anything is.
Well, if you need a tour guide, I'd be happy to volunteer.
That's not a bad idea. I'm pretty sure Amy's new to the area. Maybe I could ask her if she needs someone to show her around the city. I could offer to take her to the comic book store or the science museum.
Maybe you should do something a little bit more interesting and romantic for your first date?
What's more interesting and romantic than the science museum? They have a real good exhibit on pheromones.
I've really got my work cut out for me.
What?
Nothing. Back to the review. Dwayne goes in to see the doctor. The guy's a bit creepy. Dwayne takes off his shirt, and you can see he has a huge scar on his side.
I was really expecting him to kill the guy, but for some reason he just shows him the scar and then leaves.
Yeah, that didn't really make a whole lot of sense. Maybe he was just scoping out the place, but then why show him the scar? When he comes back out, Sharon asks if he wants her to show him around later, and he puts the basket on the ground and whispers while he asks for a number and address.
Why are we whispering?
I don't want him to hear.
Oh, maybe I should whisper when I ask Amy out. That way no one will hear, and maybe it won't be so embarrassing.
No. Neville, no. That would just be creepy. We'll come up with a plan later, but first, the review.
Oh yeah, so after Dwayne leaves, the doctor calls another lady and warns her about Dwayne. Dwayne waits until Sharon locks up and releases his twin to go attack the doctor.
This is the first time we actually see it, and it's hilarious. The doctor hears a noise and goes to check it out. He sees the door ripped off the hinges and barricades himself in another room. When he turns the lights on, the thing is just stuck to the side of the wall. He just stands there screaming, and the thing latches onto him and just starts attacking him.
This thing doesn't even have legs! It shouldn't be hard to just run away from it.
It seems like most people in this movie just feel sorry for him because he has a disability, so they just stand there and willingly let him kill them.
Seriously. In the next scene, Dwayne gives his brother a TV to entertain himself while he goes out for a while. Even the little creature can tell Dwayne is in a hurry to get laid.
Is that what you call it, Neville? The little creature? No wonder you haven't had any luck with the ladies.
What?
Well, it was just a joke, Neville. Lighten up.
Do you know the name of the thing? Maybe we should start calling him by his name.
I think they briefly mentioned it in the movie, but I don't remember. Hold on a sec. Where the hell's my phone? Hold on, I'll be right back. So, according to Wikipedia, his name is Belial.
What is that, Greek?
I think it's Hebrew. Yep, it's biblical. It's another name for the devil. It literally translates to worthless or without value.
Wait a second. That doesn't make sense. I'm jumping ahead here, but later in the film we learned that the father didn't name him because he just saw him as a monster. So it must have been the aunt that named him, and she treated him like part of the family. Why would she name him after the devil?
Maybe she just did that to taunt the father.
Maybe that would make sense if she thought he was going to grow up to do great things. But let's face it, he looks like a poop emoji having a bad day.
Well, I don't know, Neville. I didn't write it. It's not the only nonsensical thing in the movie.
Yeah, whatever. So anyway, Dwayne has a day out with Shannon, and just when he thinks he's in there, Belial, who's back in the hotel, starts freaking out.
This scene is hilarious. The effects are laughable. He trashes the room and then just starts lifting and dropping one corner of the bed.
Dwayne senses that something's wrong, and he rushes back to the hotel.
Yeah, Belial just telepathically cockblocked his brother.
Back at the hotel, the manager hears all the commotion and goes in to see what's going on. At this point, Belial is nowhere to be seen, and the room is trashed. He tells everyone to go back to their rooms.
This guy is such a stereotypical New Yorker. It's like he's a caricature or parody or something.
Come on, go back to your room, yeah, come on, move it, come on.
The guy from earlier saw some money, so he goes back in and gets a horrible head massage.
Dwayne gets back to the hotel with Shannon in tow, and he tells her to leave to protect her. He runs up the stairs and gets stopped by the cops. These scenes are shot so awkwardly.
Well, it totally works because Dwayne is an awkward character.
You got that right. So, after the cops leave, Dwayne searches for Belial and finds him hiding in the toilet.
Well, that was the best place to hide. I mean, he looks like a big pile of crap. If the cops looked there, as long as he kept his eyes shut, they would probably just assume Dwayne had Taco Bell earlier.
Gross. Dwayne reassures Belial that he wasn't going to abandon him, and they have a little bro hug.
A short while later, Dwayne goes to a bar, and he sees the hooker from down the hall. She sits down to have a drink with him, and he just totally spills the beans about everything.
Our mother died giving birth to us. He was attached to my right side. Everybody hated us except our aunt. He talks to me up here without words. I just hear him whispering in my brain.
Wayne, you're giving me the creeps.
This scene is just set up for a flashback to explain what happened to Dwayne and Belial when they were kids.
In the flashbacks, we see how the father feels about Belial and how he just wants his son Dwayne to have a normal life, but Dwayne doesn't want to be separated.
He also sees Belial as nothing more than a monster and blames him for the death of his wife in childbirth.
After they tell me my wife died, after they tell me my child is a twisted lump of flesh, then she tells me I need two names for it. One for the child and one for the monster.
We also see that the only person that cared about both of the boys was their aunt.
Yeah, apparently the aunt took the boys to live with her because in the next scene we see that the boys are 12 when Kennedy from MTV comes to check on them.
Wait, what?
Don't you think she looks like Kennedy, the nerdy MTV VJ from the 90s?
Oh, Mother wouldn't let me watch MTV. She said MTV was Satan's network, and rock was devil music.
Really? No MTV Unplugged? No Headbangers Ball?
That sounds vulgar. Maybe Mother was right.
This explains so much. Well, anyway, this lady comes to check on Dwayne, and the aunt corrects her when she only refers to Dwayne as the boy.
The boy is how old now? 12? You mean boys?
When they go upstairs, the lady asks if they can be separated, and the aunt explains that it's not that easy.
Well, she doesn't explain it, she just opens the door so she can see them.
Oh man, this lady's acting is hilarious. It looks like her lower jaw is trying to get away from her face.
Well, I mean, if you saw this thing, parts of your face would probably want to escape too.
Throughout the movie, my eyes and ears wish they could escape.
So the boys wake up in the middle of the night, and apparently the aunt is out of the house, and the dad has brought 3 doctors to try to separate them. They're arguing downstairs about whether or not they should perform the operation.
Don't you think they should have had this discussion prior to going to the house and sneaking in while the aunt was away? I mean, this is like bank robbers meeting up in the lobby at the bank to discuss robbing it.
I think 1 or 2 of the doctors are just having second thoughts, buddy. At any rate, they drag them down to the dining room and just perform the operation right there on the table. And then they just throw Belial out with the trash. They didn't even euthanize him.
Dwayne finds him in the trash and rescues him. Then they plot their revenge.
This has to be the weirdest scene in the movie. They built some weird contraption out of junk in the basement. What were they expecting to do if the dad didn't just stand there waiting for the thing to kill him? I mean, if you hear power tools in your basement, would you just walk down to investigate? At the very least, you could peek around the corner, not just walk out and stand directly in front of the contraption with a huge spinning saw blade.
Yeah, the guy literally centers himself with the blade, and then stands there while it slowly moves towards him.
It was a poorly executed scene, but the payout was worth it. The aunt comes up to reassure the boys.
She was probably all like, "It's all right now. I put your father in the trash." One thing that bugs me is the fact that Belial survived. Dwayne was patched up by medical professionals, but Belial was just tossed in the trash. He would have bled out without proper medical attention.
Really? That's the one thing that bugs you? The one thing that seems illogical and out of place in this movie? Belial didn't get proper medical treatment after the surgery.
Well, it just bugged me.
So, the flashback concludes with the scene of the aunt reading a story to the boys and then her funeral. I guess with the aunt, the only person that loved them, gone, they decided it was the perfect time for their revenge.
So the hooker helps Dwayne back to his room, and then opens the basket. But Belial isn't there.
You know, we just keep referring to her as the hooker. We should probably use her real name.
I didn't really bother to remember her name. I was trying to get through this movie as quickly as possible. I barely took notes for the review.
Well, according to IMDb, the character's name is Casey.
Okay, so Casey helps Dwayne to his room, opens the basket, it's empty, and she goes to her room. She gets dressed for bed, and Belial emerges from behind some pillows to cop a
Holy
feel.
crap! The actress has like 11 acting credits, and in half of them she's a hooker.
Sucks to get typecast.
She actually plays a character named Casey in a movie called Frankenhooker. I wonder if it's the same character. I know there were sequels to this movie, but were there other movies like Frankenhooker in the Basket Case cinematic universe?
Please tell me we're not going to have to watch Frankenhooker.
I mean, the plot synopsis sounds kind of interesting in a good, bad movie kind of way.
Mother would not approve.
So, Casey freaks out and runs out of the room screaming.
Did you notice she's wearing shoes now? There's this creepy thing in her bed trying to cop a feel, but she took the time to put on some shoes before she ran out into the hall.
Well, shoes would have been a high priority. After all, this was New York in the 80s. Herpes, chlamydia, and syphilis were just flowing in the streets.
Ew.
Mr. New York goes in and confirms that there's no one there, and then ushers everyone back to their rooms. In the next scene, we see Belial back in his basket with a pair of Casey's underwear.
He didn't want to hurt her. He was just there for a panty raid.
Mm-hmm. The next day, Dwayne goes to the next doctor on the list.
Did you notice her name? It's Dr. Cutter. And she's literally the one that cut the two apart.
Yeah, and the doctor that gave him the injection? None other than Dr. Needleman.
Did George Lucas write this script?
What?
You know, he sucks with naming characters. He called the fat guy Porkins for crying out loud.
Well, at least he didn't call him Captain Fat Man.
Don't get me started. I have a love-hate relationship with Lucas in the Star Wars franchise lately.
Dwayne goes to Dr. Cutter's and seems surprised that she's a vet.
She's a vet. An animal doctor.
But she says that he called her earlier and told her that he had a cat with a bad cut.
So, tell me about your cat. You said on the phone he's badly cut.
Oh, nice catch.
Yeah, I thought you'd appreciate that.
You know what I didn't appreciate? Dr. Cutter's death scene.
I thought it was hilarious.
It was ridiculous.
Yeah, hilariously ridiculous.
I mean, how was this little thing able to do that? Sure, he could bite or scratch her, but how does he push her head down into a drawer full of scalpels? He has no legs for leverage. Since she's holding his entire body weight, he couldn't force her head down like that, no matter how strong he is. The most he could do is force her head forward and down a bit. I mean, she literally has to bend at her waist to shove her face in the drawer. Stand up and step forward a bit.
What?
Just stand up and step forward a bit. So I'm gonna keep my legs raised.
What the hell are you
See,
doing?
no matter how hard I try.
Stop! What? Damn it, Neville! Ah! Jeez, Neville. I'd be okay with that little demonstration, but next time warn me.
Sorry.
It's okay. Just don't ever do anything like that again.
Sorry.
Dwayne goes back to the hotel, and Sharon catches up to him on the stairs. She tells him that Dr. Needleman was murdered, and she doesn't want to be alone.
Did you notice the screw-up? When she's on the stairs, she has no makeup. But when they get into the room, she's got that full 80s eyeshadow going on.
That's a good one. Good catch. So, after an awkward makeout scene, Dwayne gets him a handful of boobs, and Belial freaks out to cockblock him again.
You know, if my brother had me trapped in a box with nothing but hooker's panties, I would probably freak out and cockblock him too.
You don't have a brother, Neville. When your parents conceived you, it was probably so awkward they vowed never to have sex again.
That's not true. They tried to be quiet. They thought I couldn't hear.
What the hell are you talking about?
They thought I was playing video games, but the volume up button was broke on my TV. Every Friday night at 8 p.m.
Okay, whoa, buddy. Are you alright?
I don't know if I'll ever be alright.
Man, this explains way too much.
What?
Maybe you should talk to someone about this.
Can we just hurry up and finish this review? It's bringing back too many bad memories.
The fact that this movie is bringing up repressed childhood memories of your parents going at it while you played Legend of Zelda on mute is a new level of disturbing that I don't think I or the audience was prepared for.
It wasn't muted. It was just at a very low volume.
So, Dwayne throws Sharon out of the room.
He literally throws her out of the room. He wrapped her in a sheet and hurled her across the hall into the wall.
Yeah, that seemed a bit excessive. Anyway, Dwayne gets Belial to come down after Sharon leaves and he goes to sleep. While sleeping, he has what I assumed was a dream, influenced by Belial.
Yeah, that was my understanding too.
In the dream, Dwayne is running down the street, fully hanging dong.
Good thing I still have that hot dog graphic I used while editing our Wolf Cop video.
You're gonna have to break out your Hooters graphic too, because Belial went to Sharon's house and she's sleeping in the nude. He cops the feel and then apparently he bones her to death. He didn't really seem to be strangling her.
Do you think he was just there for a panty raid and got upset when he found out she was nude?
I think he was jealous and went there to kill her.
And was he really banging her? I mean, when they were connected, he didn't seem to have a willy. Do you think Belial has a willy?
I don't want to think about that kind of stuff, buddy. The scene was disturbing enough as it is. She's dead. Let's move on.
Okay. I just don't think he had a willy.
Why do you focus on these types of things? Why are these the things that you need to focus on?
I'm just saying.
Dwayne takes Belial back to the hotel while freaking out over what he did to Sharon. The manager opens the door to see what's going on, and then Belial lifts Dwayne by his crotch nuggets.
This would never work. Regardless of Belial's strength, there's no way such a small creature can lift a full-grown man like that. The weight ratios just wouldn't work. See, if I lay flat across the street and try to lift you...
No, Neville, no. Absolutely not.
I just wanted to demonstrate.
No, Neville, forewarning or not, you're not going to try to lift me by my sausage and eggs.
Do you want to try to lift me?
No, absolutely not. This review has been exhausting. Can we just wrap this up?
Sure. Belial drops Dwayne and then jumps on him. They fall out the window, but somehow Belial manages to catch Dwayne and grab onto the sign outside the window. And then eventually he loses his grip and they fall to their apparent death.
But no, apparently they survive because there are 2 sequels.
Please tell me we don't have to watch the sequels.
Well, eventually we have to.
Oh, come on!
And Frankenhooker.
Ah!
If you enjoyed our review of Basket Case, don't forget to give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, we're the Cinegeeks.
The guy from earlier saw some money, so he goes back in and gets a horrible head massage. Let me redo that line, because that fucking sucked.
Yeah, that's fine. You're not going to try to lift me by Richard and the Twins. You're not going to try to lift me by my turkey-necked dumplings. You are not going to try to lift me by my beanbag. You are not going to try to lift me by my meat clackers.